Titanic history. The RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 15, 1912, during its maiden voyage from Southampton, UK to New York City, USA. It was one of the most famous and luxurious ships of its time, with state-of-the-art technology and amenities. On the night of April 14, 1912, while the Titanic was sailing in the North Atlantic, it struck an iceberg and began taking on water. The ship was not equipped with enough lifeboats for all the passengers and crew, and as a result, over 1,500 people lost their lives in the disaster. The sinking of the Titanic was a major tragedy that captured the world's attention and led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations. It also inspired numerous books, movies, and cultural references. In recent years, there have been multiple efforts to explore the wreckage of the Titanic and recover artifacts from the ship. However, the site of the wreck is now protected by international law as a memorial to the lives lost in the disaster. The Titanic was built by the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and was owned and operated by the White Star Line, a British shipping company. The ship was designed to be the most luxurious and advanced passenger liner of its time, with features such as a swimming pool, gymnasium, Turkish bath, and a grand staircase. The Titanic departed from Southampton, England, on April 10, 1912, with over 2,200 passengers and crew members on board. The ship made stops in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, now known as Cobb, Ireland, to pick up additional passengers and mail. On the night of April 14, 1912, the Titanic was sailing in an area of the North Atlantic known for its icebergs. Despite warnings of ice in the area, the ship was traveling at high speed and did not take sufficient precautions to avoid the iceberg. When the ship struck the iceberg, the impact caused significant damage to the hull, and water began flooding into the ship. Although the crew attempted to launch the lifeboats, there were not enough to accommodate all of the passengers and crew. Women and children were given priority in boarding the lifeboats, and many men remained on board as the ship sank. The Titanic's wireless operators sent distress signals for help, and several ships responded, but due to a miscommunication of the Titanic's position, rescue efforts were delayed. As a result, over 1,500 people lost their lives in the disaster. The sinking of the Titanic had a significant impact on maritime safety regulations, leading to the establishment of the International Ice Patrol, which monitors icebergs in the North Atlantic, and the adoption of new safety requirements for ships. The tragedy also sparked an outpouring of grief and memorials for the victims, and many stories of heroism and selflessness among the passengers and crew have been told and remembered over the years. In the aftermath of the Titanic disaster, there were several investigations and inquiries to determine the causes of the tragedy and to hold responsible parties accountable. The British Board of Trade conducted a formal investigation, which lasted for several months and involved interviews with over 100 witnesses. The inquiry found that there were deficiencies in the design, construction, and operation of the Titanic, and that the crew had not been adequately trained in emergency procedures. The sinking of the Titanic also had a profound impact on popular culture. Numerous books, songs, and movies have been inspired by the tragedy, including the famous 1997 film Titanic directed by James Cameron, which became one of the highest-grossing movies of all time. The story of the Titanic has also become a symbol of hubris and the dangers of overconfidence in technology and progress. In recent years, there have been several expeditions to explore the wreckage of the Titanic, which rests on the ocean floor over 12,000 feet below the surface. These expeditions have provided new insights into the sinking and have revealed new details about the ship's construction and condition. However, there has also been controversy over the ethical implications of exploring and salvaging artifacts from the wreck, as the site is now considered a grave site and memorial to the victims. Overall, the sinking of the Titanic remains one of the most significant maritime disasters in history, and it continues to capture the public's imagination and inspire new generations to learn about its legacy. One of the lasting legacies of the Titanic disaster is the human stories of the passengers and crew. Many people on board the ship were from different parts of the world, and their stories provide a glimpse into the social, economic, and cultural conditions of the time. There were famous passengers, such as John Jacob Astor, a wealthy businessman and philanthropist, and Mally Brown, a socialite and activist. But there were also many ordinary people, such as immigrants seeking a better life in America and crew members working to support their families. The Titanic disaster also had a significant impact on the families and communities of the victims. In the days and weeks following the sinking, there was a frantic search for survivors and an outpouring of grief and sympathy for the families who lost loved ones. The disaster touched people from all walks of life, and many memorials were erected to honor the victims and provide a place for people to grieve. The sinking of the Titanic also had a lasting impact on the White Star Line, which faced significant financial losses and a damaged reputation in the aftermath of the disaster. The company was eventually merged with its rival, the Cunard Line, and its fleet of ships was gradually retired. Today, the Titanic remains one of the most iconic ships in history, and its story continues to fascinate people around the world. The disaster has inspired numerous works of art, literature, and scholarship, and it continues to be studied and debated by historians and enthusiasts. The legacy of the Titanic serves as a reminder of the importance of safety, preparedness, and empathy in the face of tragedy. In recent years, there have been efforts to preserve and protect the artifacts and remains of the Titanic. In 2003, UNESCO designated the wreck site of the Titanic as an underwater cultural heritage site, which provides legal protection and management guidelines for the preservation of the site. Despite these efforts, there are concerns about the degradation and deterioration of the wreck due to natural decay and human interference. Some experts have called for stricter regulations on the exploration and salvage of artifacts from the site, while others argue that the site should be left untouched as a memorial to the victims. In addition to the ongoing discussions about the preservation of the Titanic wreck, there have also been efforts to remember and honor the victims of the disaster. Several museums and memorials have been established around the world to commemorate the lives lost in the sinking, including the Titanic Belfast Museum in Northern Ireland, the Titanic Museum attraction in the United States, and the Titanic Memorial in Washington, D.C. Overall, the story of the Titanic continues to resonate with people around the world, and it serves as a reminder of the fragility of human life and the importance of safety and preparedness in the face of disaster. The legacy of the Titanic will likely endure for generations to come, inspiring new stories, research, and reflections on one of the most tragic and iconic events in modern history. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding the Titanic is the location of the ship's black box or voice recorder, which would have captured the conversations of the crew and passengers in the moments leading up to the sinking. While the Titanic did not have a formal black box like modern ships, there were devices on board that could have recorded audio, such as the ship's telegraph and wireless system. Despite numerous efforts to locate the black box over the years, including several high-tech expeditions to the wreck site, the device has never been found. Some experts believe that the black box was never installed on the Titanic, while others speculate that it may have been lost or destroyed in the sinking. Another interesting aspect of the Titanic story is the role of technology in the disaster. At the time of the sinking, the Titanic was considered one of the most advanced and luxurious ships in the world, equipped with state-of-the-art technology such as electric elevators, wireless communication, and watertight compartments. However, some experts argue that the technology on board was not sufficient to ensure the safety of the ship and its passengers, and that there were design flaws and safety oversights that contributed to the disaster. Today, the Titanic serves as a cautionary tale about the limits of technology and the importance of safety and preparedness in any endeavor. The lessons learned from the sinking of the Titanic continue to inform and shape the way we design and operate ships, and they serve as a reminder of the human cost of complacency and overconfidence. The Titanic disaster also had significant implications for maritime law and safety regulations. In the aftermath of the sinking, there was a push for stricter safety standards for passenger ships, including requirements for lifeboats and emergency drills. The International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was established in 1914 in response to the disaster, and it remains one of the most important international treaties governing maritime safety. Today, Solas sets out detailed safety requirements for all aspects of ship design, construction, and operation, and it is continually updated to reflect new technologies and evolving safety concerns. The legacy of the Titanic disaster can be seen in the many safety features and procedures that are now standard on modern ships, including electronic navigation systems, redundant power systems, and comprehensive emergency response plans. Finally, the story of the Titanic has captured the imaginations of people around the world, inspiring countless works of art, literature, and popular culture. The sinking has been the subject of numerous films.